Hi, this is Jacqueline here with the Grow Program. Thank you for growing with me. And we are growing. There's a lot of episodes. I'm driven by the Spirit, and I try to have it, like at least down to an episode a day, because see, we need God every day. We can't just depend on Sunday or Saturday, or whatever the day is that you choose to worship. We need God every day, and we need to represent God every day, in our actions, in our speech, and the way we carry ourselves, because we're royalty. So, I actually, what is going on? We're growing. We're on a journey, and you're on a journey with me, and I'm documenting this journey as we going, because see, we didn't even came a long way from when we first started. Here in August. Some of you been growing with me from the very beginning, and some of you are catching up, and you're gonna have fun catching up. It's a lot of good episodes. And they're entertaining, they're enlightening, and you're gonna learn something, and we're gonna get closer in our walk with God. We are gonna reach our greatness like the great mountain, and we're gonna spread love all over the world, like the mountains, they spread love. And I was thinking on Nick Ashford. He wrote a song called The Boss. And Diana Ross sung that song. And I love that song. It talks about love, love is the boss, and Diana Ross singing, I thought I could turn emotion on and off, but God commands us to love. That's number one. She didn't say that in the song, but she's saying that love is the boss. That's it. And it's a beautiful lyric. It's a beautiful song. And I love it. And so that's what it is. Love is the boss. That's when we say it is what it is. That's what we mean. Love is the boss. We got to say that, because I actually used to hate to hear somebody say it is what it is, because it's going to be better. It's not, we're not going to be stuck in the status quo, I wish I could reach out to Mr. Stevie Wonder and let him know that it's going to be better. Let him know that we are growing. Because, see, he don't even know. He think about leaving. He don't even know we growing. He don't even know that Dr. King's dream is coming to fruition. As we are growing, we are rising together as a people. And, even in the slavery days, even back in slavery days and all through this time, there was people, it was people from the other races who were in on the movement also from the very beginning, from the time when the slaves started running. It was people with them on the Underground Railroad helping them through. So, it's no us versus them. We are all together. We trying to be one nation under God at the same time, squashing this white supremacy myth. Because see, these people are under the ignorant thinking that they supreme over somebody. And see, that's another thing the Grow getting ready to do. See, because GROW is getting ready to squash out the KKK. It ain't gonna be no more of that. And the Proud Boy, they ain't gonna be so proud when they find out that they not supreme over anybody. Because see, that's what the Grow program is getting ready to teach them, and teach everybody else. See, because look, I used to think that I had to stand there and hold my head down and not look him in the eye and different things, but my ancestors taught me. I learned in that house. I did. I went through a process over there. And, and still on a journey with God, getting closer with the Lord, meditating. It's not about how long you get down on your knees, how long you cry, and how long this and that. It's how your heart is. You gotta forgive. And that includes yourself. You gotta let go of that stuff. See, because I hadn't forgiven myself, and so now God done forgave me, and I forgave me. But see, some people ain't forgave me. And see, when some people ain't forgave you, then they still got a problem with what you did in the past. And your past is what helped create who you are today. So if they still got the problem with it, then they the one with the problem. You ain't. You growing. So we on the journey. So see, let them go ahead with the problem, and we going on with the solution, because we growing. And we going to reach our greatness in God. We ain't got time for foolishness. We really don't. I don't have time for that. If right now is not the time, honey. We ain't got time for that foolishness. We really don't. Don't have me go back into my old saying. I don't want to say it. But we just don't have time for that foolishness. We got to do better. We got to rise. I got to reach some people. I want to keep some people from going in this federal system. It's a whole lot of ways to get slip up and get caught up in it, and then they're going to run it how they want to run it, then they're going to run some state time and some federal time, but you ain't going to do both of them separate. And now they going where, it ain't no day for day foolishness. You going to do some straight days. That's how the state system running, and the federal system is running 80%. Yeah, it's running like 80%, but still you don't want none of it. You don't want 0%. You don't want to be in there. You don't want that haunting you the rest of your life. So before you go around that corner, and think about you want to go get some revenge on somebody, you need to think about, wait a minute, is it really worth it? Because see, whatever it is, I can get it again. Whatever he did, I just learned a lesson not to fool with him again. And don't even go around there. I see what they own. So since they own that, I'm going to be on something different. I'm going over here and grow. Matter of fact, get your young people and tell them to grow. Because see, these people got people. You need to go get your people out the street and tell them it's time to grow. Hey, you need to get away from this foolishness. What these folks trying to pull you down in. Because see, that ain't nothing but the enemy. And the enemy counts us up as sheep for slaughter. He counts us up to be killed. But God says no. We are a conqueror. And he loves us. And we are not going to fall for the tricks of the enemy. We're not going down that road. So I'm going to tell you something. Get your people, before they get caught up in that ring to be counted up as sheep for slaughter. Because there's some in the ring. And I'm trying to get them out the ring. I'm trying to open up that back gate back there where the enemy got them caught all up in the ring. Well, I'm opening up the back gate and let them slip up out of there. Because I don't want to see them get caught up and going for slaughter, because slaughter means death. Slaughter means prison, being caught up. It's one or two ways, and lost up in your mind. That's why we got to get our talented and lost people. I told you they sitting up thinking about stuff, to send out right now, out in the community, different kind of drugs and different kind of things to take and get caught up, different kind of setups and tricks, tricks of the enemy, tricks to reduce the African population, by any means necessary. So we need to rise up, people. We need to wise up and rise up. We really do. We need to think about the freedom fighters from before. They didn't fight for us to just be like this. They didn't fight for us to just be like ships lost in uncharted waters, don't know where we going because we don't even want to think about where we been and can't remember where we been. We just okay with the status quo. No, we ain't. It is what it is because it's going to be better. They didn't fight for nothing. They didn't march for nothing, and it don't mean that we got to go back down there and get to marching with the enemy because guess what? As soon as we get down there to get to marching, trying to do what's right, here they coming down to burn up in the community and tear up, and do different things, so we got to be wiser. So we got to rise up within, we got to become strong. We got to begin to build in our communities, begin to make our communities look better. Think of the dream that Dr. King wanted for his community. Look around you. What type of legacy are you living? What type of legacy are you leaving? Look at your children. You want them to be proud of you. You want to be proud of you. Live a legacy to God. Reach your greatness in God. Because look, we are oppressed people, but we ain't got to act like oppressed people. We don't have to act like it. We can rise above it. Because look now, I can sit up and say, oh, woe is me. I'm going to tell you something. Because if it wasn't for the Grow Program, if it wasn't for God, honey, I don't know where I'd be. I thank the Lord that I'm growing. I thank God that I'm reaching my greatness. I thank God that I got the answer now. And I know, it's a battle of good and evil. And I decide I'm going with the Lord, because evil tried to get me to go. Evil asked me, told me I'm here to serve you. Turn your back on the Grow Program. And I told him, I said, no, get behind me, Satan. I'm living for the Lord. This is my life. My life is for God. And each and every day, that's what I intend on doing. As long as I'm here on this earth, that's my God-given purpose. And that's what we got to find. You on your spiritual walk, you have to find your God-given purpose. As you search your heart, and as you on your spiritual walk, as you begin to forgive, and as you begin to reach your greatness in God gonna show you. You may already have it. You may already be doing. Just make sure as you doing it, you are living a legacy. You are living a legacy, and you are leaving a legacy. We are going to reach our greatness. We are. And we're going to rise above this oppression all over the world. I see that we're growing. I wasn't tech savvy and how to learn how to get on websites and do different things. But, this, thank God, is simple to me, and how I can get on here and see where all we're growing at, the different cities, the different countries, the different states. And, I just love everybody. I see you out there, California. I see everybody, Georgia, Pennsylvania. I see you. And I did a episode that's got all the shout outs on it. We're growing in 32 countries now. And that includes United States, from Alaska to Hawaii and New York, and Texas. I love you, Texas. And you are in my hearts. All our hearts. You are. And it's going to be all right. You're going to get through this, Texas. You're going to persevere, because through perseverance comes hope and results. And we're going to make it. And we're going to rise as a nation. And through love. Love drives out hate. So we're going to remember that song that the legend Mr. Nick Ashford sung. Love. Love is the boss. Love taught me who was the boss. Greatness reached over oppression through wisdom all over the world. Let's rise.